Hey guys, when you think of Civil War generals, what do you think of? Most people usually picture Abraham Lincoln or Ulysses S. Grant, Robert E. Lee. But besides top hats, big beers, cigar chain smokers, and Southern gentlemen, there is one man we should be focusing on: William Tecumseh Sherman. William was the man, the myth, and the war crime enthusiast. Sherman didn't just fight the Confederacy, and he didn't just beat them. He said, "You think you can mess with me, huh, Confederacy? Well, don't say I didn't warn you." And then he proceeded to literally obliterate Georgia, handing Georgia to the North on a silver platter, like he was the IRS. He literally walked from Atlanta to Savannah, set the whole state on fire, and mailed the city of Savannah to Lincoln as a Christmas present. Today, we will be diving headfirst into William Tecumseh Sherman's life, death, and looking at what he did specifically best, which was burning states to the ground. Sherman's story starts with him being kind of a weirdo from the jump. He goes to West Point, graduates, and instantly gets a reputation as that guy. You know, the guy who has that 10,000-yard stare energy even at the dinner table. He does his military service, dabbling in banking, dabbles in law, fails spectacularly, and by the time the Civil War kicks off, he's basically a washed-up dude looking for a comeback. And then, jackpot! Why are we celebrating? Because Sherman just wasn't good at war, stupid. He was good at ugly war.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
The kind where you don't just beat your enemy, you literally destroy their will to live, or any attempt at trying again. Surprisingly enough, at the beginning of the war, Sherman actually had a nervous breakdown. He actually said that we were going to need 2,000 troops to beat the South. Everyone else said, relax, it'll be over within 3 months. Turns out Sherman was right. The war dragged on for 4 bloody years, and nobody listened to him. But back then, everyone thought he was insane, so they kind of had a reason to not listen. Newspapers were literally roasting him. They were calling him Crazy Sherman. Imagine being memed on in the 1860s by the press for being the guy yelling, "You're underestimating this thing." Spoiler alert, he was not crazy. He was just terrifyingly correct. Around 1864, Sherman has a meeting with the commanders of the Union Army of the Civil War and demands that he needs a military to take him down to Georgia so he can take it over. What do? They finally give in and trust him. And later that year, Sherman is now in charge of the Union forces in the Western Theater. Translation: go deal with the South's breadbasket and make them cry. So, he does just that. Sherman makes his way down the countryside and rolls up into Georgia, the Confederate hub for supplies, railroads, and overall Southern pride. And he's like, "Nice city you got here. Be a shame if someone burned it to the ground." And he does. He leaves Atlanta flat. And not just that, military targets burned, warehouses burned, factories burned, railroads burned, neighborhoods burned. If Chuck E. Cheese existed back then, it probably burned. He pretty much was going for anything. If it could catch fire, he burned it. And here's the kicker. Sherman doesn't even stop there. He looks at Georgia and goes, whole state seems flammable. And bro starts going at it. Then next, he levels up into his final boss form. He cuts loose from his supply lines, which is basically unheard of in the 19th century warfare, and he tells his men, "We're living off the land." Translation: steal the food, burn the barns, eat the chickens, and leave nothing left for the Confederates. And so begins the legendary March to the Sea. 60,000 Union soldiers, 285 miles from Atlanta to Savannah, path of destruction so wide it basically was an early Minecraft biome wipe. They tore up railroads, and then they reheated the tracks into Sherman neckties and twisted the metal spires wrapped around trees. They burned plantations, seized livestock, and destroyed crops. Those poor cows! And to the Southerners, this was really personal. Sherman wasn't just beating their army, he was destroying their homes, food, and their whole morale. The Confederacy called it barbaric. Historians called it total war. I call it, Sherman looked at Georgia and said, "This is a Home Depot clearance sale, and fire is 90% off." By December 1864, Sherman strolls into Savannah basically untouched because the Confederates just give up. And Sherman, he sends a telegram to Lincoln, saying along the lines,
Merry Christmas, Abraham Lincoln. I got you Savannah, Georgia. Yeah!
Like he was gifting him a fruit basket or something. Now here's the drama. In the North, Sherman was hailed as a hero, the guy who broke the Confederacy's back and maybe shortened the war by months, saving lives in the long run. In the South, he was basically Voldemort. He was revolted. People told stories about Sherman for generations, passing them down like ghost stories. Don't misbehave, child, or Sherman will just come back and burn your toys. Even today, bringing up Sherman in Georgia, you will get quite the reaction somewhere between a deep sigh or somebody spitting on the ground and maybe lighting some fire and running away. Ah! So what are we going to make of William Tecumseh Sherman? Was he a military genius? Absolutely. A war criminal? Some historians argue yes. A guy who proves psychological warfare can be scarier than bullets? Definitely. Sherman himself was blunt about it. He said once, "War is cruelty, you cannot refine it." Which is historians speak for, don't get mad at me for playing the game too well. And to this day, Sherman is being remembered as the guy who didn't just win battles, he shattered an entire society's ability to keep fighting. Even though Sherman was a weirdo hero, he had a lot of enemies on the Union side as well, like Henry Halleck, Union general-in-chief for part of the war. Halleck thought Sherman was reckless and temperamental. Some officers under him resented his style too. Sherman wasn't always the by-the-book commander as we know him to be. He's improvised. He rubs West Point traditionalists all the wrong ways. And with that being said, Sherman worships Ulysses S. Grant. And of course, since they were close allies, this also means Sherman inherited some of Grant's haters as well by association. A lot of these people fell in line into the anti-war Democrats in the Union who hated Lincoln's policies. They despised Sherman, seeing him as the poster boy for barbaric, unconstitutional warfare, and they called his march to the sea a war crime before the coin was even termed for him. Even trouble happened on the road in Georgia. Not all his men loved him either. Marching hundreds of miles, living off the land, and torching everything wasn't exactly a vacation for the 19-year-old. Soldiers grumbled that Sherman was cold and demanding, and he wasn't kind of a hug-your-troops general like McClellan. But they respected him because he got results. Even though he was referred to as Crazy Sherman, at the end of the day, his friendship with Grant and his crushing victories made him too valuable to the Union side, which helped him stand the test of time as one of the smartest but harshest generals. So next time someone talks about war heroes, remember Sherman, the man who burned Atlanta, carved through Georgia like a hot, thick knife through butter, and casually gave the president a whole city for Christmas. The man who basically invented the strategy guide for how to beat your enemies so hard they regret ever being born. Some part of this all really makes me laugh when you think about maybe how Lincoln might have been telegramming Sherman along the way from Georgia and wasn't able to find him because he was in different cities and those cities were burned down and those telegrams were probably burned down too with them. So it was probably this like big cat and mouse chase between the two. Sherman, the general who proved that sometimes the quickest way to peace is setting literal things on fire. I guess you can basically say he was one of the first speedrunners of his day. Thank you guys again for watching this video. I am so stoked to keep making videos for y'all, and I really appreciate the support and everything. Definitely let me know down in the comments if you guys want to see more videos like this. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.